News at noon. First, the highlights. Governor Sanwo-Olu procures additional rolling stock for Blue Red Line's rail operations from China. Federal government seeks concerted efforts in fight against drug abuse. On the foreign scene, United States approves plan to strike Iranian targets in Syria, Iraq. And in sports, national finals of Under-17 Cricket Championship begins February 14. Now the details. I am Dele Agadumo. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says its administration has procured additional rolling stocks for the Blue Line and Red Line rail operations to bring more relief to millions of Lagos residents. Governor Sanwo-Olu says the additional rolling stocks are expected to arrive in Lagos before the end of the year. The Lagos State team, through its partners, secured an agreement for the additional rolling stocks for the Blue Line and Red Line rail lines to be ready within a year and delivered before the end of the year, as against the normal 2-year period that it takes for the construction company to build the coaches. Speaking during a high-level meeting of Lagos State government officials with the president and management of the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation at its headquarters in Beijing, China, Governor Sanwo-Olu reiterated his administration's commitment to the completion of the second phase of the Blue Line rail project and flag-off of the commercial operations of the Red Line rail project. The governor, who expressed satisfaction that the pace of progress of the Red Line project, hinted that the state government is ready to inaugurate the Red Line rail for commercial operations as soon as the presidency communicates the availability of President Bola Tinubu, who had agreed in principle to officially inaugurate the project. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has directed the Motor Vehicle Administration Agency, MVAA, to align its fees with the provisions of the Lagos State Transport Sector Law of 2018. The General Manager of MVAA, Rashid Muriokwala, who conveyed the directive of the Governor, said compliance with the fees prescribed by the Lagos State Transport Sector Law of 2018 takes effect from 1st March 2024. Muriokwala said with the directive of the Governor, the fees by MVAA will now align with the Lagos State Transport Sector Law 2018, Schedules 1 and 2 of the registration and regulation of the activities of motor vehicle and motor spare parts dealers within the state. He stated that the fees prescribed by the Transport Law 2018 are 150,000 naira for motor vehicle dealers registered as limited liability companies, while an individual and business name vehicle dealer will pay 150,000 naira only. Again, please. He stated that the fees prescribed by the Transport Law 2018 are 150,000 naira for motor vehicle dealers registered as limited liability companies, while an individual and business name vehicle dealer will pay 100,000 naira only. In the same vein, the registration fees for motor vehicle spare parts dealers registered as limited liability companies will be 70,000 naira, while individual or business name fees will be 50,000 naira only. Muriokwala warned that once the approved fees take effect, anyone who defaults from making the correct payment will be prosecuted in line with Section 208 of the Lagos State Transport Sector Law 2018. The Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, DSVA, has commenced more enlightenment campaigns on sexual and gender-based violence as it begins door-to-door engagement activity in a bid for the residents of Lagos State to be aware of the support services they can access at the agency. The program, which commenced recently, saw the agency visiting schools, mosques, churches, markets and motor parks in the Koshofe local government area, and it is built to run for 3 months as part of efforts to encourage residents to speak up and also report cases of abuse in their various communities. Speaking during the exercise, the Executive Secretary of DSVA, Titilola Vaivo Adeni, stressed the need to reorientate residents continually by emphasizing the importance of reporting cases of domestic and sexual violence through the toll-free line 08000 333 333. Vivo Adini, who was represented at the event by the head of community engagement at the agency, Damilare Adewusi, called on all to support the efforts of the government by speaking up on domestic and gender-based issues to eradicate the menace from the society. She emphasized that the agency will be visiting various local government areas to propagate the SGBV message through the key relevance of reporting the cases when they occur. Now to the rest of the stories. The federal government has called on relevant stakeholders to make concerted efforts towards ending drug abuse among youths in the country to prepare them for employability, entrepreneurship, and becoming future leaders. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Youth Development, Dele Agadumo, made the call during a working visit to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, in Abuja. Olawande said the ministry is planning to establish an institution that would be known as the Nigerian Youth Academy, NIYA. He said in the institutions, youths would be taken through some training to engage them in meaningful ventures in order to avoid the temptation of drug abuse and crime. Olawande, who said lack of engagement, unemployment, and the skill gap have led to an increase in the consumption and abuse of drugs among the youth, said the ministry plans to introduce a door-to-door campaign to engage the youth in all 774 local government areas of the Federation. The Ogun State House of Assembly has passed a resolution calling on all federal and state regulatory agencies to enforce safety precautions in the storage and handling of explosives, especially the indiscriminate use of dynamite by miners in various quarry sites across the state. The resolution, which was sponsored by the majority leader of the Assembly, Lukman Adile, was necessitated by the need to put in place measures towards protecting residents of the state from the activities of mining operators, especially illegal miners. Adeleye, who represents Odobolu constituency, submitted that with an assessment of the occurrence that claimed lives and property in neighboring Oyo State, it has become imperative to address the potential dangers posed by numerous mining sites across the state, controlled mostly by unregistered foreigners who often disregard environmental safety laws. He added that the state ministries of environment, as well as industry, trade and investment, must be mandated to actively enforce and ensure strict compliance with safety regulations within the mining sector, noting that such proactive approach is crucial in preventing disasters and protecting the lives and property of residents and public infrastructure. Now to foreign news. The US has approved plans for a series of strikes on Iranian targets in Syria and Iraq. Officials say the strikes will take place over a number of days and weather conditions will likely dictate when they are launched. It comes after a drone attack killed 3 US soldiers in Jordan, close to the Syrian border, on Sunday. The US blamed an Iranian-backed militia group for the attack. The group, the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, is believed to contain multiple militias that have been armed, funded, and trained by Iran's Revolutionary Guards Force. It has said it was responsible for Sunday's strike. Iran, meanwhile, has denied any role in the attack, which injured 41 other U.S. troops at the military base known as Tower 22. Now, sports. The national finals of the 5th edition of the National Under-17 Cricket Championship will be held between February 14 and 19 at the twin ovals of Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. General Manager of the Federation, who doubles as the co-chair of the 2024 Organizing Committee of the national event, Emeka Igwelu, said the one-week move was necessary, among other things, to allow for regions that had pleaded for a shift in their qualifying dates to have time to practice and bond ahead of the finals. Igwilo said each regional team is expected to be represented by their best talents. This includes having the best from every team that participated. The National Under-17 Championship has become the fodder for nurturing and progressing talents to the national team. That ends the news at noon. Just before we go, use the walkway where available to avoid accidents. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms: X, formerly Twitter, Lagos Traffic 961, Instagram, Lagos Traffic Radio 961. Watch us live on Facebook, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. On YouTube, subscribe and watch all our previous programs and news on our channel, Traffic Radio 961. Did you know that the Sanwo-Olu administration began the rehabilitation of its coconut belt in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO? You get more details on the Lagos State Government website. To end the news are the highlights of the major stories. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu said his administration has procured additional rolling stocks for the Blue Line and Red Line rail operations to bring more relief to millions of Lagos residents. The federal government has called on relevant stakeholders to make concerted efforts towards ending drug abuse among youths in the country to prepare them for employability, entrepreneurship, and becoming future leaders. We also told you that the US has approved plans for a series of strikes on Iranian targets in Syria and Iraq. And in sport, the national finals of the 5th edition of the National Under-17 Cricket Championship will be held between February 14 and 19 at the twin ovals of Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. For contact with the newsroom, send a message to Lagos Traffic Radio at lagostate.gov.ng. That ends the news broadcast compiled by Kayode Mafolashiri. I am Dele Agadumo. Good afternoon. Thank you for listening.